I think it's time to make a new video now.
Samus Aran, the main protagonist of the legendary Nintendo franchise Metroid, and one of the original 8 veterans of the Smash Bros. Series. She was Smash's original Zone controller, and even though she was still loved by her fans, her Smash career has been anything but stellar. She was the worst character in Smash 64, she was pretty okay in Melee, she was terrible in Brawl, and here in Smash 4 it's honestly hard to pinpoint. Some say Samus is awful. Some say Samus is at least decent as she has some really good mechanics to her, and the rest don't care because they're too busy playing her easy string oven counterparts. So the question is obviously, which party is right here? Honestly, that's a bit hard to say. So instead of picking favorites, let's analyze from the inside out and see where Samus stands as of now, and whether or not she's actually improved since her Brawl iteration. With that, I'm Tony of the Hammerspace crew, and I welcome you back to Underbrawl Episode 4. For those of you unsure as to what Underbrawl is a series of videos that not only act as a competitive guide for the game's so-called low tiers, but, through analyzing the character's tools, potential, and more, also helps determine just where the characters stand on the competitive quota. These guides are broken into 5 different sections, starting with reviewing basic tools and ending with the character's final assessment, with tips, tricks, and more in between. Now that the introductions are out of the way, it's time to move into the first segment and see exactly what Samus has to offer in terms of useful tools. Samus is Smash's original zoner character, meaning she's a character that excels at long-range pressuring and playing the keep-away game. While she can keep opponents away, she can also get in close with some strong combo attacks and the longest tether grab in the game. She is also the 6th heaviest character in the game, giving her a ton of survivability, along with her floaty stature making it hard to combo her. However, every character has its own downsides, and Samus has a ton. Her kill potential outside of her charge shot and sweet spot forward smash is very low, and overall she's a very slow character. Along with that, some of her attacks have some really awkward hitboxes that can either work for or against her depending on how you react to it. Along with that, her slow and floaty stature makes her easy to gimp and dunk as, even while fast falling, Samus is easy to see coming. To make a style like this work, Samus needs some really strong tools to make up for her glaring weaknesses, and while not everything is accounted for, she's still in the green in terms of coverage. Down tilt. Samus' down tilt is an explosive burst from her cannon as it hits the ground. This attack will knock opponents up into the air and give you the opportunity to follow up with several different attacks. This attack has more range and base damage in an uncharged down smash, so only use your down smash when you're trying to punish a roll. Up tilt. Samus' up tilt is essentially the same as Captain Falcon's up tilt, only hers cannot meteor smash the opponent as they're off stage. Even though it honestly should. This attack can set up aerial follow-ups if the opponent is grounded, though this attack has different hitboxes that will knock the opponent away and not into the floor if the opponent is hitting an odd angle. Dash attack. Samus will charge shoulder first into her opponent for her dash attack, knocking the opponent straight up into the air. This attack, like her down tilt, can allow for aerial follow-ups. You can also purposely whip your dash attack to throw your opponent off and then follow up with a reverse forward smash. Forward air. This attack is Samus' prime combo ender and is one of the best follow-ups to use off of the previous 3 attacks mentioned. This multi-chained explosion can KO at decent resets from the edge of the screen and can give you some decent breathing room to set up your charge shot or launch a few missiles. Up air. This attack is a spinning corkscrew kick that can rack up decent damage and can easily be performed out of short hop. This is dash attack's best follow-up and can be done decently out of down tilt. This attack can KO at decent percent if you hit your opponent at the top of the screen. Back air. Samus' back air is one of her strongest finishing moves, hitting for decent damage and above average knockback. Samus's aerial mobility and floaty stature allows her to excel off stage, and you can easily land a finishing blow on your opponent using this attack at around 100% for most characters. Down air. Samus's meteor smash attack that can easily be set up thanks to Samus's floaty stature. This attack does come out slow, but don't be afraid to try and land this easy finishing move. You fall very slowly as Samus, even while fast falling, so keeping your aerial positioning is very easy. Forward smash. Samus's forward smash is both incredibly powerful and incredibly underpowered depending on which hitbox you hit your opponent with. Its attack has a sweet spot that has around 2 times the amount of knockback as the huge sour spot hitbox, and because of that, you need to have a small gap between you and your opponent before you launch this attack. Standard B, Charge Shot. This is Samus's most powerful and famous attack. A powerful chargeable projectile that can deal tons of damage, easily destroy shields, and just as easily be shot back at you by any character with the means to do so. You need to plan accordingly with this attack. Try to look for openings in your opponent's playstyle and wait for a move with a long cooldown. Using it out of pummel is also a useful tactic. Side B, Missiles and Super Missiles. These are Samus's means of pressuring from a range. They aren't meant to initially do damage, but instead whittle down your opponent's shield and restrict your ability to advance on you. Mixing between your types of missiles is essential, as opponents with reflectors can easily read a consistent pattern of similar missiles. Up B, Screw Attack. Samus's recovery move and one of Samus's best stock closers. This attack, if you catch the opponent near the top of the screen with it, can KO at decently early percents thanks to the ending pop. But do keep in mind that the startup jump can easily be stopped by enemy attacks, so try to catch them off guard with it. Down B, Morph Ball Bomb. This attack is one of Samus's most useful attacks to help protect her from juggles and aerial follow-ups. Using this attack in the air will halt your aerial movement for a moment, and drop a bomb down on the opponent below you. This can lead your opponent into a whiffed aerial and allow them to be hit by the bomb, which, while it may not deal much damage, it's still better than receiving an extra 30% damage to yourself. These are the parts of Samus's moveset that are the most important to know about, and learn, as they're the attacks you'll be using the most. Samus's grabs are also decently valuable, but those will be covered in another part. For now, let's move on and take the essentials of Samus and begin a new tutorial on how to use Samus on the field of battle. Samus's greatest strength as a character is the ability to control space and restrict your opponents from approaching. To use Samus to the best of her abilities, you need to learn how to use the previously discussed tools to keep your opponent off of your back and deal heavy damage. This part is going to be broken into 3 major sections that will cover 3 different ranges, those being close range and how to create a gap, medium range, and long range. Let's start with dealing with close range combat as Samus. Since you're slow and floaty, you'll more than likely have opponents being able to advance on you due to their superior movement speed. However, while you are slow, you have the tools to get them to back off. The first tool to use here is your down tilt, which covers a decent distance and allows for several aerial follow-ups. In this small amount of breathing room, it's recommended to try and charge your standard B. You can also try to use your standard missiles to link into your dash attack, which can be followed up with other aerials as well. You can run faster than your standard missiles, so you should be able to chain the hits together if you time it well enough. You can also go for a grab if your opponent blocks the missile. If your opponent already has decent damage and you think you're there within KO percentage, go for a grab and mash the pummel button. This will rack up some extra damage, and when you don't throw, your opponent may be a bit disoriented. At this time, unleash your fully charged standard B for an easy KO. Medium range fighting is where Samus's playstyle excels the best. It's at this range that your standard missiles also work as well as your super missiles, and mixing up the two is now an option. The idea at this range is to try and get your charge shot ready, and with that comes the use of missiles to keep the opponent away from you, as well as bombs followed by rolls. When you have your charge shot fully charged, it's time to try and set up a KO or a shield break. and the outcome is completely dependent on how your opponent handles the situation. What many players don't understand is that the missiles aren't the main worry, and simply blocking them is a terrible idea. Some players try to quickly block the missiles with a power shield, and if that's the case, launch your fully charged shot immediately after your super missile and you'll land yourself an easy KO at decent percents. If your opponent plays defensive and likes to block, simply wheel down their shield with a couple of missiles before launching your charge shot, and this will result in an almost guaranteed shield break. From there, try to land a sweet spot fully charged forward smash for some decent damage and even a possible KO. You can also land an easy charge shot attack if your opponent gets hit by a dropped bomb. While she's all about zoning, Samus is actually not very good at fighting a very long-range game. Her projectiles aren't the fastest and are basically easy to reflect bait at this kind of distance. A single super missile can be used to test just how good your opponent's reaction time is, and if they actually block or reflect it, it's time to try and get them to come towards you. Simply taking the time to charge your standard B or roll backwards will give your opponent initiative to try and move in and interrupt your charge. Of course, they may have projectiles of their own to use from a distance, and if that's the case, meet their projectiles with your own, and don't be afraid to release your charge shot to attempt an easy KO on a player who's spam happy. I'm looking at you, Robin. With that, you now have a decent grasp on how to play as Samus from range, but there's more to Samus than just projectiles, and it's been hinted at several times in this video. Yes, Samus has some decent combo options, and we're going to take a look at them in the next part. Samus is more than a pile of projectiles and spam that a lot of players make her out to be. And she is a character with decent close-range tools to help her against rushdown characters. While her combo potential isn't insanely high, it's still very good for a character with her kind of playstyle. Before we look at possible combos and follow-ups, let's take a look at Samus's grab. Samus's grab has arguably the longest range of all grabs in the game. And while a majority of her initial throws are poor, her pummel is insanely fast and her down throw is a prime combo setup at even high percents. Samus's down throw can allow for combos at percentages up to 125% on most characters, and even more on heavier characters. When at low percents, you can use your short hop forward air to follow up. Make sure it's a short hop forward air or your opponent will fall out of the attack. At medium percents, up air is not a possible follow-up, and a full jump forward air is still very reliable. As the percents get past 100, then your main follow-up is going to be a double jump forward air, but up air is still possible. At low percents also, you can actually chain together 2 forward airs between 2 jumps, so don't be afraid to keep applying pressure. Down tilt is another strong combo star that will only work for follow-ups on most characters before they hit 75% damage. You can link together short hop forward and up airs at low percents and standard jump forward airs at medium percents. Dash attack and up tilt are the other 2 combo attacks for Samus, but these attacks only work for setting up at low percents. Your best follow-up to use with both of these attacks is either your up air or screw attack, but you can also use your up smash off of your up tilt at low percents. While it's not much, racking up damage as Samus is a very important thing to do, since she has low KO potential as a character overall. These combos will help you do just that, and give you a better chance to win a fight. You're very heavy too, so you have the lasting power to keep these combos consistent. With these combos, you now know how to place both a passive and aggressive game as the galaxy's greatest bounty hunter. While the main bulk of luring Samus is now finished, there's still a few extra tips and tricks players can take advantage of. And since Samus is a questionable character in terms of tier placement, it's best to take whatever you can and use it to win. Let's take a look. When it comes to Samus, your game plan seems pretty straightforward. Keep your opponents away from you, charge your standard B, pressure your opponents with missiles and combo them away from you if they get too close. But there's more to Samus than these simple tactics. And with these tips, you can keep your playstyle diverse and become a better player overall. Tip number 1. Extra recovery options: tether, Z-air, and wall jump. Since you're a floaty character, you may end up being an easily gimped character if you're caught off stage or trying to recover. There are things to remember aside from the fact that you have a fantastic recovery. If you have opponents trying to whack you away, go for a tether recovery using your grab button. This will lock you to the ledge and reel you in a few moments after you attach to it. You can also jump off of the ledge and use an ability known as your Z-air. A Z-air is essentially just attacking your opponent with your tether grab in the air, and although it does minimal damage, it can get your opponent away from the ledge long enough for you to recover. Tip number 2. Ledge reversal. Samus's floaty jumps allow for easy direction changing in the air, and with it comes the ability to perform a ledge reversal. What this essentially is running off of the ledge and immediately jumping back onto the stage while using your back air. Pursuing enemies will easily be able to chase you since you don't run that fast, and Captain Falcon and Fox players won't be able to resist an easy dash attack or dash grab. With this, run off the stage, then go right back at them with a powerful back air. This is also good for recovering back onto the stage via recovery, but don't try using this too much or your opponent will be able to predict your patterns. Also be wary when using this against characters with counter. These 2 tips are simple to learn and will keep your diversity in moves consistent, which is a strong component to playing Samus, as a lot of her attacks are easy to read. With everything on Samus now covered, let's move on and give Samus her final assessment. Samus is a character that while she is slow and floaty, she has a good amount of versatility, she can pressure from several different ranges, her combo skills are fairly decent, and she's one of the heaviest characters in the game, which gives her a ton of survivability. However, Samus has a ton of problems to her character that makes her really hard to play against a lot of other characters in the game. Her overall movement speed and momentum are very limited, which makes it really hard for her to get hits in on characters that can attack faster than her. Her projectiles aren't that fast and are easily one of Samus's biggest problems if her opponent has any kind of reflector. Her KO potential is incredibly low, barely enough to KO any character under 110% with anything other than a sweet spot forward smash or a fully charged standard B, and the hitboxes on her attacks are very questionable at points. Samus, in the end, while she is fun to use and there are definitely very skilled players that use her, is a low tier character at best. She has way too many problems with her character to be anywhere near mid tier, and she is only continued to be ignored in terms of patches. She has the potential to be amazing, it really is there, but she's going to need frame and key BG improvements in order to fully take advantage of this potential. I will not recommend Zero Skill Samus over the original, as it's just too easy to play that character, but I highly recommend putting in a lot of practice before you try Samus in a real fight. With that, this concludes episode 4 of Underbrawl, but there's something I'd like to bring to your attention for about future episodes. For future guides, I'm going to be taking feedback from the viewers in terms of who exactly you want to see a guide on. And with that comes a straw poll. In your description, you'll find a link that will take you to a straw poll and you will be able to vote between 5 different characters. For the next guide, you will be able to choose between Bowser, Ganondorf, Dr. Mario, Mr. Game & Watch, and Charizard. The poll will be up for 2 weeks, so vote while you can. Thank you for watching. If you want to catch up on previous episodes, or you're new to Underbrawl, or Hammerspace in general, you can click the link below to watch the last episode, which was covering the legendary Pokemon Mewtwo. If you like what you saw, there will be more in the future, so feel free to subscribe. We're not all about Smash guides too, you know, so feel free to check out the link below to see some of the content made by our other creators. The link below will take you to an Earthbound review made as a tribute to the late Satoru Iwata. With that, I'll see you next time for another episode of Underbrawl, and again, thank you for watching.